Hi, everybody. Ed Orango here, coming to you live again from my garage here with Ed's Auto Garage podcast. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping on and being part of this podcast today. Today we have a special guest, a second guest in recent times that's coming from the UK. We're gonna speak with Akash Cheeda. And he has a special, unique business out of the UK that has to do with the automotive industry that we don't really see too much here in the US. So we'll be talking to Akash here in a minute, and then also want to just kind of remind everybody of an organization, a nonprofit organization that Akash and I are both supporters of, and that is the Piston Foundation. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that organization. So please, listen to that and support as you can. So today, like I mentioned, my guest is Akash Cheeda from the UK. Akash, welcome to the show. Thanks for hopping on here with me today.
Thank you for the invite. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So just to let everybody know, Akash he kind of a little in the auto industry. He's been over the years kind of a little bit of a jack of all trades in different levels and different types of auto industry space. But in current time, he is running an employment agency, basically a recruitment agency that is primarily for the auto space or the collector classic auto space area. But before we get started and get all into that, Akash, why don't you give us a little bit of background about you and how you became a car guy and how you got involved into the car space and everything. Why don't you just kind of give us a little talk about your background?
Yeah, sure. So the passion always come from when I was a kid. I had an uncle who owned a garage, so I was quite fortunate to be around some really, really nice cars when I was young. I can always remember my uncle driving stuff like Rolls Royces and Mercedes SCCs, and being a young kid, I remember, I'll never forget this, he used to pull up outside my house and I used to run out as a kid and just sit in the car behind the wheel. It was just so exciting, because it was wheels. wheels. And it was just always a passion that I had, it was just always a keen interest in the cars and different models and different shapes, and I just really, really got into it. And my father always used to buy me, like whenever he went on holiday, or like whenever, like every couple of months, he would buy me a model of a vehicle. And I remember I used to collect them and I used to sit around them all the time. And I remember from a young age, you know how you are when you're a petrol head, all the brands and all the models. And it kind of really started from there. The obsession for Porsche actually started a bit later on in my life. So yeah, it was just always around cars, and kind of growing up, you kind of get in your magazines, car magazines, you keep up to date with everything that's going on. And
what area of the UK did you grow up in?
I grew up in London.
You grew up in proper, okay, in London proper, okay.
Yeah, so we got to see quite a few different kind of cars around actually growing up, so it was quite interesting. With the car scene, it's quite diverse. So there's loads of different vehicles that we used to see when I was young. So it's quite fortunate.
Yeah. And is London, I assume it's kind of a difficult area for people to maybe own cars, to have cars in London, or is it, or basically everybody has a car in London?
Yeah, everybody has a car. Yeah, it's quite busy on the roads actually in London. Yeah.
Okay. So then you kind of got into this as you got older, you kind of started kind of finding your interest, or your interest was piqued with the P cars, the Porsche cars.
Yeah.
How did that love start?
Yeah, I always like Porsches, like 911s and stuff. And when you're growing up and you're a kid, it's like a car that's so far out of reach, right? Like when I was younger, seeing a Porsche on the road was something like, wow, like now you see a lot more of them. But when I was young, when you saw like a Porsche, it was like incredible. And I'll never forget when I was young, there used to be a Mercedes and a Porsche dealer not too far from my house. And I remember when my dad used to drive past, I always to be like, slow down, let's have a look. And I used to go and stand outside. But I never forget there was a 993, which the woman actually still owns. And I've actually worked on the car, which is incredible. When I used to walk to school, I used to always see this car, a 993. And used to walk past it and think, wow, that's an incredible car. Like I would love to work on these. But when you're young, it just feels like Porsches are so out of reach. I never thought, I'd be involved as I am now. And I remember always seeing this car and think, oh, this is incredible. Like to other people, it might just be like an old 911, but to me, it was something a bit special. And fast forward to today, that car, my friend's Porsche garage actually maintain and look after that car. So I've actually had the chance to work on it. And it's incredible.
Oh, wow. So did you were you at one time a mechanic? Did you become? Hey everyone, Ed Arango here from Ed's Auto Garage, wanting to give a shout out to our show sponsor, Arango Insurance Services. Arango Insurance Services is a full service insurance agency. We do home, auto, commercial, and any specialty. We specialize in the automotive space. So if you are a restoration shop, an OEM shop, componentry manufacturer, we're able to insure you. It's a great time right now to have your policy reviewed, see if we can save you money, make sure you are properly insured, and at least evaluate your policy. See if you're in the right spot. So give us a shout out at Arango Insurance Services. You can reach us at our website, www.arangoins.com, or give us a call at 949-887-1274. Enjoy the podcast. We'll talk to you later. You become a mechanic at one time?
Yeah.
Did you? How did you get into that side of it?
Yeah, so I never kind of formally qualified as such, but when I was 16, there was a Mazda MX-5 garage literally around the corner from me. And I used to work there every Saturday and kind of learn the basics, learned servicing, shadowing other mechanics. And it just gave me an opportunity to actually, really learn and actually get my hands dirty and actually learn the trade. And I was really fortunate. I had some good people around me who actually taught me a lot, and actually shared the knowledge, which was, it was a real bonus.
So they brought you kind of in under their wing and kind of said, hey, come on in and, rotate tires and do oil changes.
Yeah.
And they taught you the basic, maybe brake changes or whatever.
I had the opportunity to learn and get hands-on, which at 16, it was just a great opportunity. It just gave me a chance to kind of get involved and actually see what the trade is, and actually have my first taste of it, and
what do you think?
I'm still in it today. It was a great choice. And I was just really blessed to have that opportunity. I remember I did work experience at that place when I was 15, and I approached them after like a year later and was like, look, I really love it. Is there anything I can do on a Saturday to come and help out, just to learn? And they were actually really nice to say, look, come in, we could do with some help on a Saturday, where I started kind of washing cars. And then when they trusted me, I kind of got into the workshop and helped the technicians. Yeah.
What a great way for a young kid to kind of, get their foot in the door and get exposure. I mean, even today for a young person, that'd be a great avenue to do that.
It's just when something's your passion, I think you just have to go out and get it. The way I looked at it is, what's the worst they can say? No, So I just kind of went there and like, look, guys, I just want to come here and I just want to learn, I just want to get my head down and just have that experience, and I was quite fortunate that they gave me the opportunity.
And how long did you end up doing that? I mean, how
I was doing
how did that continue that
through like sixth form. So I was doing that for about kind of like 3 to 4 years until I started my apprenticeship, and it was really great because I made some good friends there. I learned quite a lot, actually. You know, we was doing everything to changing hoods on MX-5 services, you know, general repairs, and yeah, it just really broadened my knowledge.
So the MX-5 to us is the Miata, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's the small Miata cars, which are great little rally cars and great little you know, they can be specced out pretty
yeah,
good to be fun drivers,
yeah,
you
yeah, no,
know.
definitely.
So I mean, yeah, those are I mean, there's a big following here
Oh
in the
yeah.
States. I don't know about the UK if they have do they have a big following of
Yeah,
those over there?
they have a big following in the UK. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. The and then, you know, as time went on, um did you end up going to college, to school, to
Oh,
university, or
so I did an apprenticeship with a Porsche parts specialist, and I learned the parts side of the industry, more like the whole after sales, so kind of service advising, parts advising, and this is where I was able to learn the hands-on side, because where the company I worked for was based, there was actually a Porsche garage on the side of the building. And they used to regularly buy parts from us. And I used to love it because sometimes they'll be like, oh, can you just bring around a clutch kit? We're a bit busy, we can't come around. And I used to like say, yeah, I'll go. I used to be the first, and I used to grab the parts and run around just to see what they were doing or what cars they were working on. Because it was a really interesting garage, because they worked on a lot of air-cooled stuff and some water-cooled stuff as well. So you would go in there and there would be like a 3.2 Carrera, or there would be like a 930 turbo, or there would be like a 997 turbo. So it was a real good mix. And I was just always interested, and I went around it, and the guys were really, really lovely. Funny enough, I'm actually still good friends of the owner. He's now sold the business. I was actually with him today going to see a car.
oh wow.
So yeah, and become really good friends with the owner there. And what ended up happening is he saw my interest and my passion for it. You know, I used to go in again every Saturday just to kind of give the guys a hand. And, you know, when he trusted me enough, he kind of took me under his wing and taught me everything I knew about air-cooled engines
And
and
that
air-cooled cars. Yeah.
and that was kind of what kind of brought out your passion for the
Yeah.
older car, I would assume, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I was always into kind of classics, even growing up, like the cars that I used to really like or really had a following for, or like the old E30 BMWs and Mark II Golfs and Mark III VR6s, you know, and Corrados and stuff like that. Those are cars that are like, wow, one day I want to own those cars. And I always had an interest in the classic stuff, you know. And yeah, just being around the air-cooled stuff and learning it, you know, for me, it was an amazing opportunity, because it's not every day that you find a workshop that works with these cars, right? So it was just, yeah, really, really interesting. And just going back to when I used to see that 993 every day, to be able to learn the cars of that era was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I assume in the UK, the majority of the cars are manual transmission
Yeah,
versus automatic transmission.
yeah,
So there's a lot of manuals. So I mean, that's you know, in the United States here, you know, the older collector cars and things like that are gonna, or you know, most likely, you know, are gonna be manual. But anything today, anything within the last, I don't know, 10-15 years is gonna be really, you know, it'll be hard to find a manual in a more modern car. So they're basically automatics here in America, in the more modern cars. The older ones you could probably find a little bit more in the manual configuration. Um, and did that is that what kind of keyed you in to creating a parts business for yourself?
oh yeah. So Stuttgart Legends was something I always wanted to do. It's an idea I had from
And
when I
it's
was
called
Stuttgart
Stuttgart
Legends.
Legends, right?
Yeah. So it was something, it was the name, funny enough. I bought the name in 2015, like a long, long time ago, and I just didn't do nothing with it. But it was always a plan and something I really wanted to do. You know, I always wanted to get involved in parts, because by this time I made quite a strong network within the Porsche community. I knew loads of businesses and knew quite a few Porsche owners. So I thought, do you know what? I always, yeah, would want to set this business up to help cater parts for these customers. And also, I always wanted to do bespoke vehicle builds, just, be able to build a vehicle to the customer specification, like it's just incredible. Like for me, that'd be amazing to be able to fulfill someone's, requirements and just be able to customize it to their specification.
So Stuttgart Legends, you have a website for that? Is that
Yeah.
it's stuttgartlegends.com or .uk or what is it?
Oh, it's .com, yeah.
It's .com. Okay, so stuttgartlegends.com. And how do you do that? I mean, do you have an inventory of parts yourself, or how does that work for you?
So at the moment, we're in the process of building the official e-commerce store, but right now it's just got an email address, and people who I know just email me and say, hey, can you get me this part, or this is what I'm looking for, or I've got this project on, can you price up all the bits for it, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically they come to you and you kind of source the parts out for them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's anything from air-cooled restoration parts, should we say, to kind of modern, performance parts. If someone wants like a Bilstein coilover kit, or, like a Super Sprint exhaust system and stuff like that. So we can cater for that as well. Yeah.
So, yeah. So if I have if I came to you with a 1971 or 2 911, that might be a two. I might need a part for my 2.7 engine, be it the fan shroud or something like that. Someone could come to you and say, listen, I'm missing this, or I need to get, I don't know, the hats for my carburetors for my Webers, things like that. You'd be able to help them.
Anything like that we can source.
You source. And then how about even things like suspension parts and stuff,
parts, wheels.
Would you deal with new manufacturers of older parts, like Elephant Racing? Are you familiar with Elephant Racing?
Yes, I'm familiar with Elephant Racing.
Yeah. So like Elephant Racing might have, the A-arm bearings and things like that, and a lot of the componentries for the suspensions and stuff like that. You'd source that stuff out for them and
stuff like that. Yeah.
Got it. And how long have you been doing this now, or how long has this kind of been?
So officially, I started the business in January, because it comes to that point where it's, it's something that you've always wanted to do. And it's like something that every year I said, I want to start that business. And I come to the end of last year and I thought, let me just take that step and actually go for it. And I did that in January and officially launched it. And I must say the support I've got from people who I know in the industry it's been amazing. Like I've had clients come to me and say, look, I know I could probably get this part cheaper, but I'd rather buy it from you. Can you help me out? And it's incredible, the support I've got. It's just really encouraging.
And you think it's because they're trusting you and your knowledge of finding the right part, or not overselling them on something that they may not need, or it may be overkill, or maybe maybe they looked at a part and you might be able to go, I don't know, for what your application is, or what you want to do with your car, this might be too much of a basic part. Maybe you need to upgrade or beef up the part or something like that.
Yeah, so it comes back to some technical knowledge, and also it's just being able to speak to someone that understands these vehicles and has that knowledge. It just makes it easy, because there's nothing frustrating for someone that's, say, for example, you've got a restoration build on the go, you've got a deadline, and if you wait for kind of 2 weeks, a month for a part, and it turns out wrong, that sets you back. So they're like, look, I'll rather just leave it to you. Can you help me out? Yeah.
So you want to also begin doing full builds. Would that be something that somebody would physically bring you, like a beat up vehicle, an older vehicle, or a beat up vehicle, or not necessarily beat up? It could just be a good vehicle, but they want to take it to the next level, maybe suspension and modification of the, performance ability of the vehicle, or what have you. Or would it be somebody that comes to you and says, listen, I want you to build me a replica 73 RS, you know?
Yeah. So it's quite kind of broad what we do, like kind of full restoration jobs. If someone comes to us with like a beat up 911, said, I want to make this, factory, we do jobs like that. Or whether it's someone that comes to us with a modern like 996 turbo, should we say, and says, I want a little bit more power. What can you guys do to the vehicle? Or I want to make it look a bit more aesthetically pleasing, like I want better wheels, I want a body kit, we can do stuff like that as well, as well as kind of back dates, because we have access to, the wider arches and stuff like that for people that want to go for the RSR look, which I know is quite popular actually.
Yeah, I mean, because I know people will take like maybe like a, I don't know, 77, 78 Porsche or something like that, and they want to backdate it to to an early 70s or a 60s, with the different bumpers, not the big bumpers on them, and what have you. I mean, I think those, at least here in the States, that seems to be kind of a an upgrade. People, I don't know if it's an upgrade, but a change people will do to their cars. I mean, I think with the value of 911s, just kind of going through the roof now on definitely on the older ones, I think that there's a higher probability that people want to restore and maintain them as much to factory specific, where maybe the value would probably be the best for that vehicle. But I mean, 15-20 years ago, when older 911s weren't really, they were expensive, but they weren't killer expensive. People were more inclined to kind of hot rod them out and kind of, make them a little bit more performance wise. So I guess it's everyone's kind of different taste. I know that today, a 911, I mean, the value of these 911s has kind of gone through the roof. So I'm sure people are making these decisions a little bit more conservatively on what they're trying to do to the vehicles. Now, this kind of work, I mean, do you have a facility, a shop, or can I just drop off a car and say, hey, I'll be back in 6 months, I want this and this and this and this done?
So right now we're kind of I'm building up slowly towards that. So right now a lot of our, like the body work and the mechanical work, is outsourced. So yeah, we've got a unit and a facility that you can drop the vehicle off to, and we'll get the work done.
Good. And again, that's all through Stuttgart Legends.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's good. That's good to know. And then I'm guessing that your main emphasis is what we kind of started the podcast with talking about, which was the employment recruiting business.
Yeah.
That you do. Why don't you? It's called Marc Brunel.
Yeah, Marc Brunel Recruitment.
Brunel. Yeah. So where'd that name come from? Where'd that come from?
It's the name of a famous engineer, and Marc Brunel, and the name Brunel really holds like a like people in the engineering industry recognize it. So I wanted to kind of keep it really broad.
Okay, well, that's why I didn't know, because I'm not an engineer. I don't know, and had not heard of that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how you got that started, and when did you start that venture, and maybe tell us a little bit about some of the placements you've had.
Yeah, so I started it in 2017, and I started it because through my experience working within the Porsche parts industry, I was hearing a lot of the directors of the company saying, do you know what, we're really struggling to find staff, we're really struggling to find technicians, and I just realized that there was a bit of a need in the industry, and I was quite fortunate to work in the industry because of people who I knew, people who I've met, and the experience I got, for getting my foot in the door. But there were so many other people out there that I realized, like friends and other people in the industry, that wanted to get into this side of the industry. So yeah, that's why I formed Marc Brunel, to actually cater specifically for the restoration and the classic car industry, because no one was really focusing on this area. And there's so much potential, people want to get into it. It's a really interesting industry, and we're finding a lot of technicians that have been working within dealerships, for example, and they've got tired of the kind of bonus structure. They want to get back into something they really enjoy and they're passionate about. And the restoration industry, takes them back to where their passion is, whether that be kind of Aston Martins or Ferraris or Porsches, they can go and work on something that's a bit different.
Wow. So you're basically a matchmaker in a sense, because I'm assuming what happens is that, the individuals that have that ability of that trade, mostly with the classic and older cars, I mean, those are generations that are starting to go away. And so you need to kind of bring some fresh bodies into this ability to maintain these older cars.
Yeah.
Kind of going, if so do you work, how do you have it where like a repair shop might come to you and say, hey, I need I need a transmission specialist, and I need somebody that understands suspensions on German cars. um do you then go out and post it someplace and kind of put out feelers, hey, we're looking for this type of candidate, or do you physically kind of go out and visit shops and kind of go, hey, we'd like to have you come over and work over here, type of a thing? How does
So
that work?
there's so many different avenues. Like we've built up, we've put a lot of kind of time and effort into our marketing, so people know this is an area we specialize in. So we've had a lot of attraction from candidates to come and register with us, saying, wow, we want to get into this side of the industry. So we've managed to build a network from that side of things. Also, we have the same resources as most other recruitment companies. So we have the access to the job boards, LinkedIn, but also through our my own network within the industry. So we go to a lot of events and shows, and we meet with people and we talk with people, and yeah, just really grow our talent pool from different areas.
So your website, you would have potential candidates or potential employees come to your website, kind of give their profile of what they do and then you can look through those and go, okay, this guy might work out, let me give this guy a call.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting. So, more recently, we've had people come to us who have been like, this is a real passion of mine. I want to get into this industry. This is my experience. Is there anything that you can find for me? And the restoration industry understands that there's been a skill shortage. And depending on the role, it's slightly different when it comes to technical roles, because you need someone with some sort of experience with mechanical. But they're quite open to recruiting for passion, for someone that has a keen interest for these vehicles and, wants to get into this industry.
Yeah, because that was another thing I was going to ask you. Let's say I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid, live at home, but my passion is these type of cars, or my passion is E-type Jaguars, let's say. And I would like to learn as much about these cars, or work in some capacity with these cars. I have no experience. I don't even know what I really want to do. All I really know is I want to work in some capacity on these cars or with these cars. Is there something that you guys can help them
Yes.
in that world?
We would usually point them over to the Heritage Skills Academy. So it's an apprenticeship scheme that's been put together to cater for the restoration industry. So it teaches young students, restoration skills, so mechanical, engine building, panel work, also vehicle trimming. So it's really broad, so they can go there and learn the courses with the view to an apprenticeship, or, once they finish their training, go in as like a trainee.
And I don't know, is that something that would be very expensive for them to get into, or how does that work? Or are they sponsored by a
Yeah,
school?
for like an apprenticeship scheme. You can get in there for an apprenticeship scheme, yeah.
Yeah,
The employer.
and I guess now we can kind of segue a little bit into the Piston Foundation. Is this something, do you envision organizations, these nonprofit organizations like Piston Foundation, to support candidates and help them with any financial backing that they may need for this pathway they want to take?
Yeah, so the Piston Foundation, they offer apprenticeship schemes, and they offer scholarships as well. So the scholarship applications are actually open, so students can actually apply for the scholarship applications. They're going to be reviewing them in the next few months. So yeah, they're
So that
offering programs for students to want to get into the collector car industry.
into the collector car industry. So yeah. So then, in a sense, I mean, I could know nothing. I might come to your website and just kind of say, listen, I have a passion for Mercedes-Benz, and I want to work on Mercedes, W cars and whatever I can find. And even if it's, as a young kid, even if it's like being a lot boy, or, washing and cleaning and doing things like that. I mean, your group can help them.
Yeah, so what we usually do, if someone does come to us like that, we will try and kind of point them in the right direction and try and help where we can, or if, we have a workshop that's local, we'll say, oh, we've got this young person that really wants to get in this industry. Is there anything you've got for them, or any position you think you can take them on for, So yeah, we always try and help out, because it's a small world, the classic car industry. So we try to kind of help each other out if we can.
So do you see the majority of this being done? I mean, you're in the London area. Is this do you see it outside of London? Do you see the ability in other other towns, or other areas, villages and things like that?
Yeah. So we kind of work nationwide. We've got quite a big network all over the UK, really. We work with companies, all over.
So, so tell us a little bit about some of the placements that you've had. I mean, and what kind of work they've done. I mean, have you placed mechanics, with car builders? What have been some of the latest ones you've done?
So we've done like
as you look at your board over there.
Yeah, I'm looking to the money. You caught me.
I caught you.
Yeah, so classic car technicians, panel technicians. We're talking about like kind of traditional panel technicians that use English wheel to build panels. Yeah. So fabricators, sales, it's a real mix. A majority of what we do, I would say our bread and butter is probably classic car technicians and vehicle build technicians. But we cover all roles, really.
And you have people from like the Porsche industry and the Ferrari industry reach out to you guys for placements.
Yeah, it's a real mix. Sometimes we deal with some of our clients even specialize in like pre-war vehicles. So we have a really broad scope of clients we work with.
Do you see a big turnaround in employees in some of these shops? I mean, it's kind of funny, at least here in the States, it seems like you have like some of these classic shops, and you might have the owner, and then you might have some crotchety old guy that works there that's been there forever. And then you might have 2 or 3 young kids that are just kind of learning, but it seems like these 2 or 3 young kids are always in and out, and they may not last as long. Is that similar over there in the UK, or how are usually the dynamics in shops?
I think it's in the UK. I think it's companies are more kind of open to taking young people on, and I think looking at our training academy, for example, the Heritage Skills Academy, it's specifically for the restoration industry. So someone that will go through and train there that want to actually get into the restoration industry. You know, it's not broad. It's not just an automotive qualification where you can either go in modern or you can go in classic or you can go, you know, wherever you want really within the industry. But I think where we've now have these training facilities that are specifically for restoration, that will kind of try and eliminate that slowly. But, you know, you're always going to get that, you know, someone that goes and tries something and thinks, you know, it might not be for me. But yeah, I think, you know, having academies that train specifically for restoration, that should, you know, kind of stop that from happening as much.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
what's your experience over here in the States with training academies and things like that? Do you see that being as prevalent as maybe you guys, as much as you see it over there in the UK, or not as much,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
what's your feel of the US?
I think in the US, I've only started to learn the car scene slowly, like in the last, I would say 6 months. So I'm still kind of learning it. I see massive potential because you guys have some incredible shops out there, right? All of the programs I watch here in the UK, they're based out in America, you know, and I think there is a great potential. You know, I think what Piston Foundation are doing is great, and I think it will definitely be well received because there's nothing targeting specifically the collector car industry out there. From what I can see at the moment, I might be wrong because it's still fairly new to me, but yeah, I think it will
Yeah,
be well received.
um there's a couple of schools. There's one in particular that's here. Just the name has just McPherson.
Oh yeah,
McPherson here in the United States. It's in what we would call like the Midwest, I believe, and they're kind of known for that. And then there's a number of technical schools that people can sign up for to get training, but a lot of those technical schools are more geared towards more modern vehicles here. I think the McPherson is more designed for the classic automobile, the metal working, the English wheel, working for metal and aluminum, using lead, and then the mechanicals involved. I mean, I think there's a lot of the restoration stuff. I think that comes out of that school. I'm sure you're familiar with an insurance company that's large here in the United States for classic cars, which is Haggerty.
yes,
Haggerty's in the UK as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
and they are and they also have I'm not 100% sure. I believe that they also have some connections or abilities for training, and I know they're real big supporters of exposing the youth to the classic car arena, because if not, these cars can basically dwindle away, and if we don't keep the young folks kind of hoping that they get engaged with these cars. So
Yeah, I think, things are changing because when I was growing up and I looked at apprenticeship schemes to get into the automotive industry, there was always like dealerships like BMW, Audi dealerships that were offering these apprenticeship schemes. I didn't, realize that there was, some of these companies and businesses out there, these restoration companies that are actually quite close to me. I think social media has really opened that up because it allows companies to post what they do, and you can actually really get an insight into the kind of work they carry out, which can kind of, reach more younger people. So I think it's great in a way.
yeah, and I think that again, talking a little bit about the Piston Foundation and what they do, and again, for anybody that's listening out there, visit, I think it's org, isn't it? Org?
Yeah.
Org, it's org, right? Pistonfoundation.org. to learn about the organization. If you're a student
Mm,
or you have a passion for the automobile or the classic automobile, still visit the website and see if maybe you can
yeah,
qualify as for an apprenticeship program. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of hard for shops to excuse me, it's kind of hard for shops to bring in um an apprentice and have that apprentice and pay them a working salary and a working livable salary, um and train them and still be able to be productive in a shop. Because now you think about it, if they're going to be training them, so you're pulling one of your mechanics or one of your technicians away from their duty to spend time with this apprentice. So you're paying an apprentice and they're really not producing for you. And now the technician that's training this person, their productivity for their day-to-day is diminished a little bit because they're spending it with this apprentice. So you're kind of, as a shop owner, when you're looking at the numbers, it's kind of like, oh, it hurts me until this apprentice gets up to speed. So where the Piston Foundation comes in is they want to help support a shop to get that apprentice up to speed, and help support the shop by reimbursing them, I assume, pay the apprentice, help the shop with the payment to pay that apprentice, so that they can work in that industry as long as they meet certain criteria and requirements that qualifies them for this. I guess you could call it almost like a grant or
yeah,
a scholarship
yeah.
to be in the shop. So by all means, everybody kind of check out pistonfoundation.org,
Mm.
for information on that.
And yeah, the scholarship, like I said, the scholarship applications are open. So yeah, if anyone's interested, please do apply.
Yeah, it would be really good. So what's next for you, Akash? What are your next projects, or what do you hope to accomplish? I mean, I think it sounds like maybe you'd be interested in maybe tipping your toes into the US in the recruitment world
Yeah.
with companies here.
Yeah, that's always been the plan when I first started. And, being partnered with the Piston Foundation has been great. I've had a lot of support from the guys. And also we've been actually contacted by a few companies in the States, that have wanted us to kind of help them. We've seen what we've been doing in the UK. We've actually worked globally before, so I'll give you a rundown. Our general clients could be anything from kind of restoration shops, bespoke vehicle builders, and private vehicle collectors. Sometimes we get collectors that come to us and say, I've got a fleet of vehicles, I want a fleet manager, or I want to employ my own technician to look after my fleet. So we've done a lot in the UAE. We've even filled a role in China before, and yeah, I was actually contacted by a private collector in Kuwait just before COVID, and unfortunately we didn't get to fulfill that because of COVID and the restrictions and everything. But yeah, so we are starting to branch out, and contacted by a company in the States that specialize in Ferrari. So yeah, it was always the plan to kind of branch out to America. It might be sooner than I thought, but yeah, I'm really interested and looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be a great experience, and it'll be a great venture, and yeah, that makes it really exciting. All right, so if people want to learn more about Marc Brundle, right?
Marc Brunel.
Brunel. I keep saying it wrong. Sorry,
No
everybody. It's
worries.
Marc Brunel, and that is
.com.
marcbrunel.com.
Yeah.
And there you can learn about what they're doing with the recruitment, and I'll have some information in the show notes for this. So anyway, again, everybody, we've got three things here of topic. One is going to be stuttgartlegends.com. for parts, and sourcing and just guidance. I mean, if you need some guidance for parts and things like that, and you know, someone to help you with, you know, do this but don't do that, or this might be good or that might not be good, you know, check out stuttgartlegends.com. We've got the pistonfoundation.org, that is for apprenticeships, scholarships, to continue the passion of the classic and collector car and not let that die. We can't let that die. We need to make sure that classic cars are still viable. And then Marc
Brunel.
Brunel. I don't understand why I have a brain issue with that one. Brunel. MarcBrunel.com for employment, specifically automotive related employment. Marc Brunel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I got it right. I'll have it in the show notes, everybody. Okay, Akash, thanks, man. Thanks a million for spending time with me and for kind of giving us a little breakdown on what this is all about. And we'll be in touch again, everybody. Thank you so much for being for taking your time and spending time here on the podcast. Appreciate it. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you.